Hello followers and welcome back to the Minecraft Weekly Snapshot. This week is 13 week 37A, and this week Snapshot is what I'm going to be dubbing the Map Maker Snapshot, because oh boy has there been a bunch of stuff added for map makers in this snapshot. And what I will say, oh no, I've just deleted my book. What I will say is that the reliance on plugins is getting less and less now. So basically, this snapshot features a bunch of map making stuff, and there's only really one feature of note, and that is that we can now have custom portal sizes, and we'll get to that in a minute. But the first thing that's on the change log is that now on command blocks there is no longer a 256 character command limit. So if you want to write commands longer than 256 characters, that's now an option. I don't believe that there is any limit on the command block anymore, so you can write really long commands, because there's been some introduced that are going to be really useful for this. So that's the first change. So now let's talk about the only real main feature for people who don't play or use maps, and that is the fact that we now have custom portal sizes. As you can see here, I have some different sizes and designs. So now you can have odd widths, like this is a 3x3, here is the regular one, just to show you how it really works, and I've made a really big one right here as well. So the new Nether Portal building rules are from any size from 4x5, which is this one, up to 23x23, but they have to be sort of squarish or rectangular. They can't be rounded, for example. Portals can now also be activated from any block within inside the portal, not just the bottom of it. So let's just, for example, break this, and then say if we want to light it from the center, we can just hit that back block and it will light the portal. Very cool change. I really like that one. It gives us a lot of flexibility with portal designs now that we didn't have before. I quite like this 3x3 doorway. I still like the classic one though, but with these bigger ones you do run the risk that ghasts can now come through, as well as zombie pigmen. So if you go with a bigger design, then you do have that risk. So it's kind of a decision that you're going to have to make when building a portal, whether it is that you want to have gas in the area. Certainly I wouldn't recommend having one of these out in the open like this in a survival world, because you're going to find that you're going to get played by gas the whole time, and that is not fun in the overworld. They can drift around really anywhere and be a general pain in the backside, so we don't really want that. So yeah, that's the only real notable change aside from the map making stuff. So now let's get into that stuff. So block and item IDs can now be referred to with names instead of IDs. So before, if you say wanted to give yourself a command block, you would have to use 137 for the ID, or for a stone block you would have to use 1. Now that's been replaced, and soon it's going to be removed completely, but for right now there is both ways are available, and there is a different way to do it now, and that is that we can now actually use a proper name. So if we take a look at this command block here, it says give the player Minecraft stone. So this will give me 1 stone block if I push this button. As you can see here, that gives me 1 normal stone block. And this is quite significant because it makes it a lot easier for map makers to actually go about their business without actually having to have an ID table up in front of them all the time. So a very small, nice little change, and this will work for items. As you can see here, I have a potato. This is the command for that one. It will work with records, as you can see here. We have the 11 music disc, and there will be a link down below to the Reddit changelog where you can actually view how to type all of these syntaxes, and you can also attach names and laws and enchantments and everything else to these things. And if we push the button here, as you can see, I named mine the Stone Block of Awesome and gave it some law rock solid. So you can actually attach data to that as well. So Really, really handy stuff. It opens up a whole new wave of possibilities, I guess would be the best way to put it, for map makers now to give players items, and it's becoming easier and easier all the time. So the give command has also received some improvements. So now if I hover over a tooltip like so, you can actually see that it displays information relating to that. So the stone block is just stone, potato is just potato, the music disc shows me which music disc it is, and here it tells me the actual item name and its lore. So just a very small, neat little change, I think, just to display tooltips. If you, say, put the item in a chest but you want to check something, I don't know, there's probably people who will come up with more uses for that than I can think of. So on top of that, there is a new set block command, and this one is perhaps revolutionary to the game, and the reason for that is it replaces what we used to use, and that was falling sand entities. Now we can use commands to place, remove, and change blocks in the world, and this was only previously available with mods or with these falling sand entities, which could be quite buggy and unreliable. So this has given us a whole new map making possibility here, because command blocks can be strung together and we can build entire structures and delete them at the same time with these command blocks. So here I have a command block that says set block, and then we have the coordinates, and it's a stone block, and then we have a 0, and then it's replace, and then another 0. If we take a look at the set block syntax, you'll see that it says set block, which is the command, X, Y, and Z, which are your coordinates, the tile name, which is the name of the item, in this case a block, which you want to place, the data value, so if there's any data associated with it, for example, things like wool colors and whatnot, then that would go there. Old block handling, and that is whether we want to create, remove, or change the block, and there's a data tag at the end, and that data tag is for things like I believe enchantments and stuff like that, but I'm not entirely sure on that one. That one's a bit confusing, but there is that too. So if we run this, as you can see, it placed a stone block right there. Now it's a bit bugged at the moment. I had it set up according to the command to spawn on top of the command block, but it's over here. I think it's just a little bit bugged right now. But in addition to that, we also have a destroy command. As you can see, it will mine it out and you can collect the resource. And there is also a keep command. And what this will do is, the keep command is a bit different in the way that it works. Keep will only place blocks in air. So it's obviously going to work right now, but if I attempt to do it again, it's not going to do anything. It will only attempt to add blocks to air blocks. So there's some variation there. If you wanted to change it, for example, you would have to link these two together. So for the first time in the game, in its history basically, we can use something in vanilla, these command blocks, to actually create structures. Now this would take a long time to do, and I wouldn't really have much of a clue of how to do it, but you could string these together using redstone, and you could push a button and you could have basically a fully complete house built. Anything that you can build out of blocks, you could build on demand with a command block. Now this opens up possibilities for doing things like this. Say after you beat a boss in a custom map, you open up a beacon which gives you a custom ability or something like that. So the possibilities now are really, really endless, because you can also spawn in things like redstone blocks so that you can power redstone circuits. So this gives you basically the ultimate lock-in device, because you have to reach this and this almost becomes your key in order to do so. Might sound a little confusing at first, but this is really revolutionary for map makers, and I am very impressed with the way that it's been implemented. So we'll see a lot more cool custom maps coming down the line, I'm positive of that. So yeah, that is the set block command. There is also a test block command, and the test block command will test to see if there is a block at a certain set of coordinates. So we have this set up over here, test for block, and that is, it's testing for a air block in these coordinates, and there's no data associated with it. And if you push the button, you would think that nothing happens, but it has an output here, and it tells me successfully found the block. So if we were looking for a stone block, it's obviously going to throw an error message at me saying that it cannot find the block because it doesn't exist. It's an air block, not a stone block. So again, very handy. This can be used, I guess, to test and to prevent maybe some bugs with this. If your structure has blocks removed from it and so forth, you could hook that up to a clock and do stuff like that. Because obviously now, if something comes out as true, then you can hook up a comparator at the back of it. So the possibilities with this are getting better all the time. And there isn't anything in that one. I'm not sure what that one was actually for. So on top of that, there's been some improvements to the chat system. And the chat system now has just a couple of small changes. As far as I'm aware, you can actually now use a new command called tell raw. And this will, you have to message a player and it will execute a JSON file. Now, I have not played with this feature. I don't know programming very well, let alone know how to program JSON files. But this can now execute commands to do certain things, and I imagine that it could be used almost now in custom maps to kind of answer the solution to being able to add cutscenes. You could execute a command that plays a cutscene, for example. That will be potentially something you could do with that, because it can call things from outside the game if you program JSON files, which is very, very cool. I'm impressed. The other actions, as I say, were the tooltip. Now you get the little tooltip, and also apparently opening a URL has changed in some way, but it's not listed here on the changelog as to how that's actually happened. But I guess it's something to do with the JSON file thing. On top of that, if you take a screenshot now, there is a link to that screenshot that you can click, and it will open it up in your image editor, whichever one you've got set to default. So if you want to take a screenshot, then you can get a hold of it straight away. For example, if you want to make a thumbnail, then you can open it literally straight away without having to go through your Minecraft screenshots folder to try and find it. Very, very cool stuff there too. And also there is a new command to privately message people, which is /message, and then you can use usage tell player and then private message, and I believe a message works as well, the MSG. It's just kind of interchangeable really. So now you can privately message a player, for example on a public server. If you need to speak to a staff member, then you can do that privately without the need of an external plugin now, and it's very simple. And as I said at the start of the video, the need for plugins is all the while decreasing, and I think that this is really building up now towards the mod API so that we can really have flexibility, because now we can do things like place and remove blocks in the world as well. So cool stuff all round. And as always, there is also some bug fixes, just a couple of small bug fixes. There's nothing really significant there. There is a maybe here on the changelog that new sounds can be added using resource packs. I haven't looked into that, so I don't know if that's entirely possible at the moment, but that is listed there as a maybe. As far as anything else goes, I think that is it. According to the changelog, that's everything. Unfortunately, I lost my book by choosing the pick block command thing there. But very, very cool stuff here. A lot of exciting features for map makers. There are going to be lots more possibilities now to make different mini games and custom maps that weren't previously available. And I might even get into messing with some of this stuff on my test world and see what I can come up with, because it is very, very cool, and I really do want to kind of check out this stuff. I've seen what other YouTubers have done, such as Seth Bling, and there are some others out there as well that are making all these cool mini games, and I would like to have perhaps a little go at that myself in my spare time, obviously when I'm not making videos. So yeah, down below there will be a link to the Reddit changelog if you wish to find out more in-depth information about the bug fixes, and also for more in-depth information about the syntaxes of various different commands. so you can check out those as well. There will also be a link to the Mojang blog post and the bug tracker page. And that's going to be, I think, just about it from me today, guys. I hope that you've enjoyed, and I hope that you found this snapshot review informative and useful, and I hope to see you in next week's snapshot. So, yeah. One last thing, actually, that's just come onto my mind. There will be a 1.6.3 coming out very soon to fix some bugs, notably the structure bug, because if you play a 1.6 world and load it into a 1.7 version, so 36B, A, or 37A, then potentially your structures may not work anymore. So they're going to release a bug fix that's going to make it so that the structures will work. So I would avoid using 36B until this update has come out, or 37A, so that your structures will remain intact. Particularly if you have things like a wither skeleton farm or a witch farm, those types of farms which rely on mob spawning mechanics, then you're going to want to avoid upgrading at the moment. So that's going to be just about it, guys. I hope that you've enjoyed, and I hope to see you next time. So until then, guys, see you later and have a good day.